the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all.
Hey, do you guys hear me? You guys got me clear? Hey, Four Corners.
Of the legislative function. They delegate authority to a manager, but they maintain the power over that because if the manager isn't delivering as promised, they're able then to fire that manager if they're not doing the job. The citizens are able to come to their elected representative and say, hey, government's not working the way it needs to be working in the delivery of programs and services, and then the council can take action. So that's one of the guidance to people. The other thing is the long-term.
It's only required every other year. The decision to conduct count every year. The purpose of the count is to help determine the scale of homelessness decisions and to track progress towards ending homelessness. However, we found that are unreliable. The PIT numbers are often cited as the official number of persons. I'm not sure if my internet connection is stable enough to continue.
It appears that your connection is a little bit unstable at this time.
Okay. Well, I believe we have someone in person who might be able to take over if I'm having internet issues.
I have your presentation. I can share it.
Just out of curiosity.
Okay. Well, all right. Then I can continue then. Okay. I'll go. Should I go ahead and continue, or should we have someone take over?
Let's go ahead and continue.
Okay. All right. So, for example, here's the data on racial disparities that we collected this year. You can clearly see that communities of color, such as our Indigenous or American Indian / Alaska Native, African American, and Native Hawaiian populations are greatly overrepresented when compared to their census numbers. And this holds true across emergency shelter, or transitional housing, and unsheltered, which are all the groups that are included in the PIT count. So, as we mentioned, there's a number of issues with the PIT count and its reliability. The first is that the count relies on volunteers, which means the workforce in a given year is variable. The weather also drastically affects the count. For example, in 2022, Albuquerque experienced snowstorms during the week of the PIT, which not only led many people to seek shelter who typically sleep outside, but also dramatically reduced the availability of volunteers. The surveying approach itself also limits our ability to get an accurate count, as it's entirely voluntary and we can't submit numbers to HUD that aren't tied to a completed survey. The aforementioned lack of HMIS participation is an issue with the shelter PIT count as well, and the decommissioning of the cameras is a challenge as well. This year, for example, the coalition undertook a variety of efforts to stop decommissioning during the week of the count, but we were ultimately unsuccessful. Many teams went to areas that had previously been identified as densely populated, found that they'd been cleared, and several arrived in areas that were actively being decommissioned. Understandably, people don't want to complete a survey when everything they own is being thrown away. So here we can go over some of the data. You can see the jump in the overall PIT numbers from 2022 to 23, including all of those who are unsheltered in emergency shelters and in transitional housing. However, the jump we see in the previous graph is mostly driven by this jump in the unsheltered count. It looks like a huge jump in homelessness and it's been reported as such. And while we believe that the number of people who are homeless is growing, the degree of the change that you're seeing is actually correlated to an increase in volunteer participation and coordination. So here you can see the increase in total volunteers and volunteers who completed more than 2 surveys. The overall number of surveyors roughly triples, and the number of higher volume surveyors more than doubles. It's our opinion at the coalition that while that number of of people who are on the streets is increasing. The scale of the increase is mostly driven by this, as well as an overhaul in our methodology for conducting the pit count. And finally, we all agree that it's still a fairly sizable undercount. So let's talk about bed numbers. The LFC report that came out recently, that's been pretty heavily covered, indicated that New Mexico had enough emergency shelter beds to accommodate everyone who was unsheltered on the night of the count. But this not only assumes that the pit count is accurate, which we know it's not, but it also lumps together all of the beds across the state. So in Albuquerque, our number of beds was only 1,779, while the pit count, including all of those unsheltered in emergency shelters and in transitional housing, was 2,394, as well as 727 refusals, which is a measure that we tracked for the first time this year of people who indicated that they were unsheltered but did not want to complete a survey. And of course, this significantly overshoots the bed capacity that we have. Furthermore, we estimate that because of all the issues with the pit count, the true number of people in Albuquerque experiencing homelessness is probably around 5,000. So another issue is that the pit count focuses only on one subcategory of that type that has not had any motivations. And in general, they're not trauma-informed. Many report that staff are rude or abusive and cite the environment as very overwhelming or anxiety-inducing. So not only is there a need to increase affordable housing stock, but there's a need to improve the quality of emergency shelter options. There are a variety of approaches one can take, including more non-congregate shelter settings like the Wellness Hotel, and making existing shelters more trauma-informed. We also recommend third-party inspections like those offered by the Commission on Accreditation of Rehabilitation Facilities, or CARF, which would give shelters an extra layer of oversight. So to summarize, the pit count's an extremely imperfect tool, but what we can glean from it can inform policy. Ultimately, though, I would wrap up with this quote from an expert in Oregon about their pit count. Essentially, the pit count's not an accurate measure of progress and does not directly point to a solution to someone's homelessness situation. But what we know is a fact without conducting a count is that ultimately affordable and appropriate housing is the solution to homelessness. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilors, any questions for him?
Yeah, Madam Vice Chair, thank you. So do we know, and so I know there's a couple other people here that can answer questions too. Mr. Bowen, I don't know if you want to be the one to answer questions or if I know that I think Ilsa's here as well and she was participating in this. Do we know what the weather was this year when the pit count was done? If you're here, sir, can you introduce yourself?
It's great.
And can you introduce yourself for the councilors today?
I have been 20 LOATHES at the program director.
Okay, thank you. And so the weather is fine this year? Okay. The reason why I asked for this is because it came to my attention that there was a decommissioning of encampments several days before the pit count was to happen. And that's a concern for all of us because we get federal funding and it was a notification. So when was the last decommission? When did that happen this year before the pit counts?
So we had teams going out and we actually witnessed the decommissioning of the campus as they were trying to do. So it was happening simultaneously while we were trying to do the count. And that's the first week of that whole week.
So, Mr. Ayala, do you know, or does somebody know why we would be decommissioning encampments while a pit count is going on in the city of Albuquerque with notification and planning?
President, Councilor Hassan, I don't have the information right at my disposal at this point. I know that both Family and Community Services and Solid Waste were working together on a particular site, which was the first and the previous site that had created some mental health issues, and they were restructuring that particular area. And that may be an area where some of the numbers were being, or some of the services were being performed. But I don't have that.
Madam Vice President, Mr. Whelan, Director, do you have more information for us?
Council President, Council
a lot of important business tonight. I would really like to circle back and I would ask our staff, Ms. Stiles and Ms. Emilio, if we can schedule some time, with the New Mexico Coalition and Homelessness and with the directors so that we can figure out, I mean, my concern is if the numbers are skewed because we're trying to make them look one way or another, or if it's because we have to keep people safe and clean and not have a hazard. So what you're saying makes sense. What I've heard from the other side makes sense. I would like to get more information just so that we can make sure that in 2 years, whoever's doing the hit counts, we can make sure to streamline the process even more, with more cohesion together. So, moving forward, I think that we'll work on scheduling that piece.
and Council President and Council, we are all for that because we want to have an accurate count as well, because that's important to administration as far as how we use resources. So we're all for that. We're willing to work with anybody who wants to work with us.
When it comes into play, people come to the voting box, that's where they're end up holding accountable. In the council manager form, that accountability is generally to people receiving the services. As you all know, in city council, the services aren't being delivered well, the programs aren't being operated well, you're gonna hear about it, right? You're gonna raise those questions to staff. So under council manager, the council's able to hold accountable the staff, because they're gonna go to the manager and say, why we have these people coming, this isn't operating well, what's going on? Under mayor council can go to the mayor and make those recommendations or bring those forward, but it's really the mayor to determine whether that's in the best interest. Ultimately, it's the politicization that sometimes creates challenges. That also goes into your question of corruption, and one of the research that's in there from University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, Tim Nelson, they had noted that in their research, mayor council, so those are issues that if you look at it, council manager, it would require a majority of council to go along with any kind of direction of staff, whether that's fancy permits or any kinds of other issues like that. So it's harder under that form, but again, it's possible.
Mr. Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you. And again, a lot of this comes down to, in a community, what are the values of the community? How do they hold their government accountable to deliver the types of programs and services that are promised to the quality of life of the people? And so under council manager form, the key difference, that separation of powers, that's under the mayor council, no longer exists in council manager. The council and the mayor are one body. They have power both over the administration and of the legislative functions. They delegate authority to a manager, but they maintain the power over that because the manager isn't delivering as promised, and they're able then to fire that manager if they're not doing the job. The citizens are able to come to their elected representatives and say, oh, government's not working the way it needs to be working in the delivery of programs and services, and then the council can take action. So that's one of the values of people. The other thing is the long-term planning and strategy. A mayor is every 4 years, looking at the second election, 8 years. But those terms makes it very difficult to do long-range strategic planning. The council can adopt a 20 or 30-year plan. They can have a 5-year plan, and the budget shows how it fills that. But none of that is required because of the separation of power under mayor council. The mayor may choose to follow that long-term plan or not. A city manager is there to follow that strategic plan that the council with the mayor adopts. And everything should be geared toward that. There's more interaction with the public. The goal of a manager is to get that public feedback so that the council can make those informed decisions. And ultimately, all those decisions rest with the council, which are the elected representatives of the people. So the people have elected representatives as a body for every action in government, both in the administration and in the policy making aspects. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Grant, for coming this evening. I know you're in back east, so I appreciate your time very much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yep. And again, if anyone has questions, feel free to email, reach out. I'm happy to address any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to move to administration question and answer period. Counselors, any questions for the admin? Counselor Gilmore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question for the admin on R128, which was passed by this concerns that this body and this city should not be interfering with community's right to file a petition at the Albuquerque County Airport.
Make sure everybody ate in this one. Make sure that you, your career
It comes together and it pulls together the singing areas.
Will you be giving the orders to have people put hands on us if we don't obey your city rules? Right, and what are you gonna do if I don't obey? Sure. So why are you even running your mouth if you're not even in charge? You just like to run your mouth, is that all?
For the record,
You just said you're not in charge of the rules. So why are you running your mouth? Where's your office? Go back to your office. You got something else to do? Are you? Okay. You just said you're not in charge, but you're running your mouth like you're in charge. It's okay, we all need you in charge. I'm in charge. Yeah.
They want to pass me for what again?
Well, how about if we prosecute you for failure to obey the Constitution? Do you know what the punishment is for that? Minimum 10 years is possible death sentence. I don't want that to happen. So just obey the rules. I am sure. Of the Constitution. Of the Constitution. I'd hate to see you get sentenced to that. Over some petty tampering. Am I right? That would suck.
I made a request to speak, make a public comment. You're going to be violating my rights to redress my government. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I have a right to be redressing my government.
You also have
right now, he's blocking my way.
You also have a right to self-defense.
Right now,
you got a right to self-defense.
Obstruction of movement. That's obstruction. No, you're obstructing my movement. I'm going 12-2-7. 12-2-7.
sorry, ma'am.
You're obstructing movement.
It's Albuquerque. City of Albuquerque.
It's city ordinance, obstruction of movement. Look it up.
City of Albuquerque. You're saying we can't perform the public meeting.
Exactly.
Step out of the way. Nobody asked me to leave.
You're asking me to leave, Bill? Why?
Why? Because he's failing to obey the rules of the meeting. And this building is closed. So unless he's attending the meeting,
I'm attending the meeting. I'm attending the meeting. This is a public meeting. Dumbass.
That's how you try.
I want my rights to redress my grievances, to listen to my government.
You just ran up to the front. They're surrounding him. He's in the area now where he's supposed to be. Now he's in the area that they've designated for him to be in, and they're still surrounding him. So they've told him that there's only one specific area in the room where you're allowed to record from. Nobody else can have any camera going anywhere except for that one spot. Now he's in that spot, and they're still kicking him out. Dude, the funny thing is that New Mexico used to be so all about individual liberty, civil rights, such as specifically with stuff like this, recording the police. Oh man, Chief's getting in his face. Is that the Chief? Who do we call? Albuquerque Police Department, City of Albuquerque.
Thank you, buddy. Council Green, I think you know, for you, use your mind here. This is me, Council Green, which is only,
I think they're smart enough to not put their hands on him. I think he could probably stand right there all night and not be touched, but I'm not sure. Oh, now they've locked the doors. They've locked the doors now. Everybody's locked in.
Thank you, Chairman Sanchez.
Now, what part of the time?
Thank you, sir. We're going to come back here and address the Chair, we're going to do this evening. I mentioned earlier,
And you have a duty on your oath to protect my rights from an agent of the government, a person who's been elected. You have a duty